Good evening. You may think that I go get Tish and bring her here when it's time to do our videos, but that is not true. Tishy just comes out. As a matter of fact, I was trying to type the title in and everything, and she was just nudging me and nudging me with her head, like, okay, let's get going. It's 10 o'clock, for God's sake. Welcome to Rise of the False Gods, our book study on the book I wrote by the same name. It's about transformation through illumination. Now, if this is the first time you've watched one of the videos on this, you can go to YouTube and just search Rise of the False Gods, Alicia Leslie, and you will be able to look at all the past videos as well. I welcome comments and questions, but I have to tell you, I can't necessarily see them as they're entered. My, I don't know, it's probably the way I have the settings set in my computer, but it is what it is. But I do review them later. So if you have any questions, we can look at them later. Also, please subscribe to my channel, and you will see that I also do afternoon videos that are currently called Life on the Light Side, that are a second level of the, well, not level, second version, edition of the original How I Spent My Corona Confinement. That's about keeping us up on the light side, even though we're going through challenging times. And that's going to be over pretty soon after I get my, let's see, it's going to take about a month. I'm going to get my second corona shot, coronavirus vaccination. And then I wait 2 weeks, and then I'm not going to be stuck at home necessarily. I'm still going to be wise, social distancing, using the mask, and all that stuff. So that one is probably going to be stopped, maybe. But I'm also looking at a new one that I'm not going to share what that one's about yet. So, okay, so it's going to be probably short tonight because uh, I didn't want to go on to a longer chapter after I finished this one. So tonight it is called Now It's Getting Personal. I used to have a guy in my congregation in the church I served in Texas. And the minute I would either start talking about tithing or, touchier subjects, he would, from the congregation, he would be calling out, now you're getting personal, with humor, of course. But sometimes it's got to get personal. If it doesn't get personal, we don't look at our stuff, we don't change. So let us begin on the top of page 192. 192 already. We are making progress. Maybe it doesn't seem to you like we're making progress. Maybe you feel like we've been churning and churning, and is this ever going to end? I hope not, because there's good stuff in every chapter, and there's much more good stuff to come. And yes, I do repeat myself over and over and over because sometimes it takes a number of times of hearing it before it settles in. And you know what always made me crazy in pulpit ministry? I would preach a whole series on a particular thing, anything, suffering, 12 powers, positive thinking, whatever it is. I would do the whole series, and a year later somebody come up to me and they say, oh, I heard this preacher the other day and they said blah 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 blah. And I'm like, hello, I preached a whole series on that and you were there. But it's not a matter of whether or not you say it. Sometimes it's whether you say it enough and whether or not you are receptive to what you are about to hear. Okay, so no matter, so I'm beginning at the top of page 192. No matter how spiritual or intelligent we may be, one thing we never want to be is wrong. Our pride, and when I say this, I mean our human level pride, our ego, can't handle the thought we're not as perfect as we'd like to believe. And we're also afraid, um, we're afraid of rejection. I get that into that here. Heaven forbid anything should be our fault. Well, not according to our ego. Here's a wake up call for everyone, myself included. If we were already perfect, we would not be here. Why? We are here to learn. If we were, okay, we are here because we have things to do and learn. The collective soul of humankind is suffering atrophy from lack of exercise. And I made a note on the side that said division denies our oneness and diminishes its power. So when we divide, even in our own being, and we think that there's a good part and a bad part, we're dividing our own self. And we are all good. We are just learning how to express that and transform from our lower animal nature. Yes, we are animals. We are definitely not vegetables or minerals. That means we are animals. Whether we want to be animals or not, we are. And we do have an animal nature that they call but you know what? It's animals are more innocent in it than we are because we know better. And there are things that, because we have more than the opposable thumb, because we have the ability to reason, to figure things out, not always correctly. We're either figuring things out to bring ourselves up higher or to give in to the lower, you know? So we want to be united within our mind and our heart, our feelings, our thoughts and our feelings. We want to be united as family units. We want to be united as countries and as a world population on a biosphere. A biosphere. We're all interdependent, but it starts with each one of us doing our own work. Okay. So, like I say, the collective soul of mankind is suffering atrophy from lack of exercise. A lot of people don't even really think about it. And when I say a lot of people, I don't mean everybody. And it's really hard to strive for spiritual growth when you live in a collective consciousness that doesn't encourage it. It's like one thing that drives me bonkers is advertisements for cars. They're always showing cars zipping down, and it'll say, goes from 0 to 60 in 1 second flat. Well, yeah, but you shouldn't be going from 1 to 60 in 1 second flat. You shouldn't be speeding, zipping down the roads. There's a commercial that really gets me, and it's a father with a little girl in the back seat. And yes, he's in a parking lot, but he's like making donuts. He's and she's going, do it again, Dad, do it again. Well, I'm sorry, that's not safe. And it's not good for your car and it's not good for your tires. So why would you teach a child to get a thrill from reckless driving? I'm sorry, I can't support that kind of thinking. That is very low consciousness thinking. All right. Then there is okay, hang on. Okay. Despite the millions, this is going to get you. Okay. Are you ready for this one? Are you sitting down? If you're not sitting down, sit down. Take a deep breath because this one's going to boggle your mind. Okay. Despite the millions we spend for time saving devices, how much time have we saved? If you had a time bank, how much saved time would you be putting in there for tomorrow? Oh, yes. We tell ourselves we'll do it tomorrow, we'll do it next week, we'll do it when the kids grow up, we'll do it when we have kids, we'll do it when we retire. We'll do it when? And some people say, well, I have plenty of time to rest when I'm dead. Well, if you don't start resting, pretty soon you're going to die faster and get to that eternal rest a lot sooner. And what makes you think it's eternal rest? Maybe it is eternal living according to the way you created your new life while you were here. Okay, so think about that. What kind of time have we saved? We fill every moment of our life with the demands of ego and the pursuit of more. We think we need more of everything. When we get the next thing, then we haven't hardly gotten to use what we had and we're looking for more. What's next? And we need a place to store it. What we need is time and space, which is much more relaxing. Unscheduled time and space to get still, to clear our minds, and to drink from the solitude. Ah, from the solitude. The well of living water. I don't spend much time there, and that is my fault, my cause. I'll talk about it a little later, but you see, it's impossible to have a spiritual life without solitude. Okay, to see for yourself, answer a few questions. How many hours of your day provide you with solitude? How many hours of your day provide you with solitude? Here's another one. How many minutes are you free of distraction or activity? How often are you distracted and um, busy, or what's that word? It's making busy. And yes, life is too short. But again, it's a balance. You see, we have to balance our time with activity and solitude. Because if you're in solitude all the time, you are not in touch with the realities of life and the world we live in. Only because of the current crises in our political situation do many people pay any attention to politics at all. And some people are too invested in it, and some people are not invested in it at all. I'm sorry. It's my daughter. Just let me tell her I'm doing the video. Hello, I'm doing the video. What? Yes? Uh-huh. All righty then. Okay, I'm doing a video. There's people listening. Well, I congratulate you on that. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Well, I need to get back to my class. Okay, I'm just going to cut this part of the video out. I don't know how many people are watching, but what was I going to say? Okay, call me as soon as you know so I'll know what time we're watching our video. Okay, love you. Bye. I don't know what to say. It was my daughter, and she had something she just had to tell me. And, you know, when we talk about how we wish to spend our time, I'll try to cut this out of the video. I'm not very good with practicing with that really well. But she wanted to tell me that she had done something very good. She had exercised her integrity, and it was an issue we'd been talking about, and you know, and I wanted to let her know how proud I am. And so when isn't it amazing the way God does these things? I'm going to leave that piece of video in, because it shows how you have to sometimes take time from what you're doing for something that is very important. And I had to do that and congratulate her and let her know that I'm proud of her. And I invite you to do the same thing. Now, for those of you who watch my afternoon Life on the Light Side videos, you would see that that's what I talked about today. God just keeps bringing it on and bringing it on, and it's up to us to do something good with it. So, and the topic today was about when you have something to do and it's not going to happen. Okay, we shall move on. All right. Okay, that's funny. The question was, how many minutes are you free of distraction? There we had a little distraction, but it's the quality of the distraction. We want to weigh it. Okay. Okay. In the exercises section of the book, this is why you want to have the book, even on Kindle, I suppose. But back here in the back of the book, I'm not sure if we're going to go through it together or not. But there's all kinds of exercises to apply what you learned in the book. Okay. All right. Oh, and it tells you how to create your own prayer time and process. So, self examination is an important part of our spiritual path. As false gods play the game of distraction, our life slips by, and with and it's as false gods play the game of distraction, our life slips by, and with its precious moments, we could spend living the life we desire. So, we have to be really careful with the distractions. One problem with self examination is that it is very difficult to dig for our flaws. I think we fear them. Like I said earlier, we fear that if others knew our flaws, we would be rejected. We fear that our flaws are who we are. Okay? But we are all flawed in that we're here to grow and learn. Okay. It's crucial to remember we are all children of God, even the ones that tap dance on our last nerve. And it doesn't mean to say, oh, well, you're a child of God, it's okay. No, we still have to call each other on our stuff. We are mutually accountable and collectively responsible for each other and the whole. We may not behave like it, but we are one. If we are not acting like it, all we need to do is change our mind and act like it. And what is that called? It's called repentance. Where do we start? We come to understand it's not a personal judgment, it's a process of discernment. When a teacher presents his or her students with a test, It's to determine the comprehension of the lessons, not to judge or punish. See, we got to get off this punishment thing. Change the word punishment to accountability. We have to be accountable to each other. We are accountable to spirit. We are accountable to our pets. We are accountable to our children. The good news is when the teacher puts that test in front of you, not to punish you or make you feel stupid, just to see how you're coming along, how you're getting the lessons you're being taught. If you fail, you get another chance. You know, I've talked about my teacher, my fourth grade teacher, who I really don't think liked me. Then again, maybe I just frustrated her. I have very not clear handwriting. And so I think I've said it before. She would say a messy do over, and when I did it over, she would mark it down for being late. Okay. So, but I don't think I ever got that lesson because I still write pretty bad. When I try to go back and read my own journals, I go like, what? Or a recipe. What was that? I put it there. I'm still working on learning it, but I think fast, so I write fast, and I'm a child of God. I'm perfect, just working on being more perfect, expressing it better. Okay. The good news is if you fail the test, you get another one. But what we have to remember is that we will keep getting lessons until we master the lesson. However, each test gets more difficult because there's the expectation, oh, you're not getting it. Let me help you to get it better. And that's where we are right now in our individual lives with the virus, with our government. We are in the middle of lessons. We have to learn to stand up. Remember, the issues that we are dealing with most are ignorance and arrogance. And arrogance is our ego, and ignorance is either not knowing or not wanting to know. We cannot afford that anymore. We have to wake up to that divine power within us. We are brilliant. We are loaded with spiritual gifts, and it's time to employ them. It's time to stop looking at ourselves and look at a bigger picture. Um, and this is not personal, it's principle, not personal, principle. I want you to really, really get that, to take that into your heart and your mind, that this is about, it's not about the little person, it's about understanding how the spiritual principles are working in our minds, in our hearts, in our lives, in our thoughts, our words, and our actions. We want to know that. I have a prayer that I use frequently, and it says, have thy way in me, Lord. Have thy way in me. Have thy way in my thoughts, feelings, actions, decisions, and words. Have thy way in me, Lord. Have thy way in me. So I'm asking God to help me to remember that my way isn't always the wisest way, that I am better to align with my my higher self, my higher mind. When we work the principle, the principles work. Principles are not personal. We can practice what we learned or not. In the exercise section, you'll find a self-evaluation to complete. And once you've completed it, you'll know which areas you are excelling in and which you want to work on next. When I was in school, I had a car. I bought a car from my father, which I don't think I ever actually paid him for. I think I made a few payments and he just kind of let it go. But I used to drive my books home from school and then drive my books back to school. Very often, not taking them out of the car or doing the homework. And I still got by. When I think about how well I would have done if I just did my doggone homework. And but now I work on it much more. We are never out of school. School is never out for the spiritual being, for the spiritual warrior. Every day is school, and we learn our lessons or we repeat them. Um, okay, so I wanted to add one last thing tonight, and that was about myself. And it goes back to um, the way we spend our time, what we do with it, and how much time we spend um, having solitude and balance. And I have to confess to you that I have issues in that area. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Short Circuit. Well, there was a robot in it, and the robot was called Johnny Five. And Johnny Five was always going input, 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 and reading books and things. And I'm like that. I always want input, input, input. And it is amazingly challenging for me to stop, to just sit. Even in my prayer time, I've got my input with my prayer time coming in, whether it's from words or whether it's from Joyce Meyer or whatever. Then I make sure, but this is what I'm going to tell you, I make sure in my prayer time that I have a chunk of that time just to get centered and quiet. It may not happen again during the day, but I'm trying. And I talked this afternoon. I don't know what I did with the paper, but I talked this afternoon about getting I don't know, I lost it somewhere, a Nielsen survey. I did the telephone survey, and then they send you this little booklet where you put in how much time, the TV is on, what you're watching, and like that. And I will say my TV's on more than it should be when I go I'm doing my dishes. It's kind of like the voice in the background all the time. And but still that's not silence. And I think that's why I get some of my most genius ideas and the best things when I am in the shower. Because in the shower, there are no distractions. There's just the sound, the running water. And, Cheryl, I don't think it could have been Matthew Broderick. I'm not very good with movie stars' names and stuff as a general rule, especially if they're younger. But it probably is the little one that has his little head look like binoculars. Johnny Five. And that was me. I'm on input, 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 input. And we have to let go. I have to stop giving my mind too much input or too much entertainment. I like to be entertained. What can I say? At the same time, we need the balance. We need the balance of giving our mind some recreation. So when we think of recreation, and I think that it's very important to self-monitor the quality of the input that you are putting in. Because you will watch some TV and it kind of makes you icky sicky, like homicide shows and certain things. Now, Hoarders can be a pretty bad show, but I'll tell you something, it's a great show to clean the house by. Oh, well, I am just about out of time, so I managed to use up that time tonight anyway. Tomorrow, we're going to start a great adventure that is claim your power over false gods. Woohoo! And I'm sure you want to claim your power as much as I do. So for tonight, chew on that little information meal we just shared, and see what you can look at. Self-examination. And Lord willing, I will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Have a good one.